Hey guys, Michael here with another candidate interview. Talking today or this afternoon. This has been my education day, but I've got Miss Priscilla Yother, who, if you are a Gadsden school system parent, especially a Euro Brown parent, you probably have seen her a time or two. At least it's been a few years. It's been a few years.
You. Yes.
But there's still a lot of us out there. Thank you for joining us, guys. Again, we're gonna wait for some of you to jump on, and please let me know that the audio is good. If you've got any questions, then throw those in the comments, and we may see if we can take some of those. But we are talking about the state school board. We're talking about what you want to go to Montgomery and do. I have told all of y'all, all of you guys that have elected to run in the political world, thank you for subjecting yourself to the world of politics. I don't know. It's probably not all that far off from being the principal of a school. You can't make everybody happy, and there's always somebody complaining. And those of y'all that are willing to go spend time in Montgomery, a special level of gratitude and thank you. Guys, I'm gonna start a 4-minute timer here, and we'll let you guys jump on. If you haven't seen some of the other videos, I encourage you to go watch. I've done interviews with everyone or most of the folks that are going to be on the primary ballot May 24th. I can't beat that drum loud enough. I know I've talked to a few. I've even talked to a few educators that weren't aware. May 24th, anybody in Etowah County that is on that ballot in the primaries, if they make it through that, they're the only name on the ballot when it comes voting time. So we're trying to beat the drum. I feel like May is a really bad month because everybody's so busy.
I also feel that.
So trying to get people to understand, if you don't show up and vote in the primaries, then you are basically giving up your opportunity to vote for all the folks running in Etowah County, county commissioners, state representatives, state school board, sheriff. I don't know. There's probably one or two else that I'm missing.
Let me think. Representatives, state school commissioners. You mentioned that. I think you got it all.
Yeah, and then of course, there's some other that's not going to go for the governor and those higher offices. But if you are in Etowah County and you don't show up to vote in the primaries, then you're going to miss out. So you're going to show up in November, and there's going to be one name on the ballot, and that's going to be it. So I guess you can write in somebody, see how that goes for you.
Yes, you could.
So guys, somebody just leave me a comment and let me know that the audio is working, that you can hear her and that you can hear me. I know you can hear me. Usually I get complaints that I'm too loud. So we'll adjust as necessary. If y'all can't hear very well, then let me get things set up. That's always my fear, that we'll talk for 30 minutes and no one will have heard us. So, but folks are pretty good. Well, hey, I got Miss Christy Knowles saying the audio is good. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it. You could have just hollered down the hallway, but thank you. Again, guys, like and share, tag somebody that you think might be interested in this conversation. It's a little different, I think, than a lot of the other stuff that we talk about. I guess it's not as vicious. Would that be a way to say it?
I think that's a good word. No, it shouldn't be vicious.
I haven't seen any mudslinging mailers back and forth between you and Marie, and I've talked with both of y'all before we came on the interviews. How sad I would be if I saw that out of a couple of ladies that have been lifelong educators and want to go be a part of educating our kids. Because quite honestly, with what I've been through the last 2 years, there's some of this that I'm almost embarrassed for my girls to see and watch.
Yes,
so,
well, that would be totally out of place.
Yes,
for
yes.
education,
Yes.
definitely.
So yeah, we're going to jump in and talk some about the state school board and just the education system in our state as in general. I am, as we talked about before we got on, I view you guys as the technical experts in the education system. Both of you are lifelong educators. And have a wealth of knowledge that I could never even begin to imagine. So a lot of this conversation is I'm just learning, which is really kind of all I've done all along. And I enjoy learning and trying to figure out how things work. Hopefully you guys get something out of it. And if you've got some specific topics, specific questions, if I don't cover or if we don't get to it, and even if you ask the question, I don't bring it up, I definitely will make sure that I forward it over to her folks or encourage her to jump in the comments and interact and explain some stuff to you. But I think without further ado, we will jump in and get started. But I'll make my pitch as I've made in all of these, guys. Leadership has been a key factor in what we've been talking about and what we've gone through in this last couple of years, and a critical pillar. And I can't beat the drum enough that we as citizens, we as voters, we are the ultimate leaders in Etowah County. We are the ones that make Etowah County what it is. We can't point our fingers if we don't pay a little bit of attention, if we don't invest some time, if we don't get to know who our elected officials are, we don't, try to understand the issues as best we can, then we're doing our community a disservice, and we're not providing the leadership that we should. So we can sit around and point fingers at different elected officials, but ultimately we're the ones that sent them there. That's just, accountability is a tough thing these days, but it's the truth. So with that in mind, check out advancedetowah.com. If you go to election 22 and you go to the who's running tab, the candidate profiles, that's my effort, because I know with as much as I would stand on the soapbox and preach about how you need to know things and understand things and get to know, it's hard. We're all busy. We're doing soccer and graduations and weddings and work and other work and third jobs and all that other stuff. And it is very difficult. So that candidate page is my effort to try and make it a little bit easier, for you to go see and learn about some of these folks. So that's enough said about that. Let's talk about Miss Yother, running for state school board. And let's just start, as I have all of these. Why don't you give me the minute and a half, 2-minute version of who is Priscilla Yother outside of the politics, which I know for your office, your life is pretty much, your bio is directly applicable, but who is, give me the quick synopsis for those that don't know who you are and what you've done.
Synopsis. I graduated from Auburn University in 1976.
War Eagle.
And immediately went to work. I worked first at a private Christian school, and then I went and taught at an Etowah County school for 9 years. Took a couple of years off and had some children. And then I went to Euro Brown, I believe, which is in Gaston City, in 1987 or 88. I taught 5th grade there first for a number of years, and then became the principal of the school in 2001 with the retirement of Charlotte Crossan. I always knew that education was what I loved. I loved being a learner. I loved everything about school. I loved the teachers. I loved all the classes for the most part. So it was something I always knew that I wanted to do. In 2017, I retired, and I knew I was going to miss it, but I was invited to volunteer at the school anytime I wanted to, and I did. And then the pandemic hit, and I was just crushed. So I invited the children in my neighborhood to come, and we had pandemic school in my home. I had about 9 children. We used the dining room table and set up a card table, and we got started about 8 o'clock, and we finished about 1. They brought their Chromebooks, and we went through their assignments for each day, and they could do it. I had 1st through 5th graders. But everyone at one time or another during that time needed assistance. And so that's what I did. I just went around the table and gave them assistance. And it worked out beautifully. And then the children were dismissed for the summer, and then we did not go back in August. So I had people calling me all summer about it. So I asked my pastor if I could use the Family Life Center at First Baptist Church Gadsden, and he was delighted about it. Mm-hmm. So we were able to increase our number, and I called on fellow retired teachers, and we had 6 to 8 every day, and we had somewhere around 40 to 50 students. And again, it worked out beautifully. I can't imagine those children. You would have a very disciplined elementary school child if they went through that schedule of studies alone. Because there were
it was tough. It was
came
definitely
up
tough.
Even for adults,
Yeah.
there were. So I was happy to do that. I also, after I retired, went to Great Britain. I had always wanted to teach in another country. And so in August of 2018, I went to Fox Primary School in the borough of Chelsea, Westminster in London, and I taught there. They allowed me to go in any grade level I wanted to go to. We prepared it ahead of time so the teacher would know I'm not teaching math today, Miss Yother is. And I loved it. I was able to compare what we do with what they do. I was able to share some things that they liked better, and then they shared some things with me that I thought, ooh, we're going to use that.
Nice.
So that was a great experience.
Okay.
And so then education is what I love. And so I always want to be involved in it. So when Cynthia McCarthy did not run, the incumbent, then I just felt like I was supposed to do that.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm here today.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm getting text notifications of some audio issues. Please let me know, guys. Can you hear? I'm gonna slide back just a hair so I'm not quite so loud on there. But if y'all can hear, because I don't want to keep going if we're gonna have issues. I want to get that fixed. But somebody let me know. So where did you say you went in England?
I was at Fox Primary School,
Okay.
which is a public school, but I also was able to visit and teach some at Chepstow House Primary School, which was a private school.
Okay.
So
where in England are?
In the borough of Chelsea, Westminster.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the reason I chose to look there was because it's very safe. It's a small borough, but it's a safe borough. And so I lived in a 3rd-story flat by myself in Westbourne Grove, which was about a 45-minute walk every morning and afternoon from either one of the schools. I I wanted to get into the private school simply because I wanted to see if there was a lot of difference, and I did not find that.
Gotcha.
I did not. The only difference that I really saw was that, of course, the private school had elaborate uniforms, which
Gotcha.
were cute
Gotcha.
and all, but not so with Fox. But anyway, well,
All
I'll
right.
talk more about that in a
Yeah.
minute.
Well, give me just a second, because okay. So guys, we are having mic issues. Hold on just a second. Let me troubleshoot. The beauty of doing it live.
Is you're gonna deal with that.
Yes. Yes. So we'll make sure that all is good. I don't really want to have to swap out mics because that will take a second. So hold on just a second. All right, guys, can you hear me? Somebody testing 1, 2, 3. Am I going in and out? Now we wait the 25-second delay for it to get it to the internet, and come back. So I apologize if guys, if we're having gear issues, but I want to get this right. And if you're watching this later, just skip on a few seconds. Just hit yeah hit that 10-second or 10-second skip. I've got somebody texting me. All right. Nobody's going to answer. That's disconcerting. Somebody. All right. I'm going to have to bring it up and see if I can hear it myself.
Okay.
So give me a second. The fun of being the audio engineer and host at the same yes. Let's see here. All right. This is
That will allow you to see if we're heard.
yeah. This is the faux pas of live streaming is to listen to yourself while you're live streaming, because then it absolutely crushes. Still not good. All right. Yes. All right. So now I can hear myself and see if I can figure it out. Guys, again, I do apologize. I don't know what's going on, but we'll swap out mics here in just a second. Huh. Okay. So it is a microphone issue. Sorry, guys. All right. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on, work.
If it makes you feel better, I was at a town hall meeting with Saturday.
All right. Is this any better? I can swap out the mic. I got one right here. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. I guess I will set this down. And we'll see. Now I'm going to turn ourselves off so that we don't get distracted.
Okay.
All right. Guys, thank you all so much. And I appreciate the patience. And it's not distracting at all with a train of thought. I'm right where I wanted to be. So I planned all of that, I promise. Here, I am going to move this back just a hair, and try not to swallow the mic quite so much. All right. So, let's pick back up with we got kind of a quick bio on you, and the discussion about the state school board and education in general, to me, for a lot of us, is just an education about education piece. There's a lot of stuff that I don't understand. I don't know. I've been the parent just trying to do the best I can to understand. So what does the state school board do? What role does the state school board play? And why do you want to go be a part of that?
Well, when I first started in education, I never even considered the state school board. You always consider your local education agency, your local school board, because you follow those rules and regulations. But after I got older, and especially when I became a principal and I started receiving memorandums from the Alabama State School Board and the superintendent, I did start to pay attention to what they did for us. And then I have a daughter that lives in Montgomery. And so after I retired, I started going to the meetings in person. She's an attorney, and her office is right next door to where they meet. So it was great. Attend that meeting, go see my daughter, pick up my grandchildren from school. So anyway, I got a better idea of what they do. This always bothered me through the years that, most people didn't even know who represented their district on the state school board. And the state school board is divided into 8 districts. And then you have Governor Ivey, of course, as the president. And then you have Eric Mackey is today's superintendent. So you have input from each one of those 8 board members considering their district. Now you're looking at Alabama as a whole, but our districts are different. And it always concerned me that I never saw the representative from our district. She had never visited Eura Brown. She had never visited Carlisle when I taught there. If I wanted to know who it was, I'd have to look it up. And I thought, it shouldn't be that way. I think they should be active. I think they should go to the schools. They should observe what's going on in the schools. So that was one reason I decided to run. As a teacher and as a principal, I have always been highly involved in what's going on. I think that's the only way that you can get a true reading into if what's happening is positive or negative. So it was just my process, very normal for me to just walk in a classroom, have a seat next to a student and listen or ask them about what they were doing. I always wanted to know what was going on. Nobody ever minded. So that is the number one platform point that I have in running for this position.
Okay.
Is there are 172 schools in District 6. There are 8 counties with 172 schools, city and county schools combined. I have already visited over 125 in person, going in the school, talking to whoever I could talk to. If the principal wasn't there, I talked with the assistant principal or the secretary. I loved when the students would come down the hall, and if it was an elementary school, they would smile and always. And if it was a middle or a high school, I made a point to go up to those students and extend my hand and introduce myself because I wanted to see their reaction. And I was so pleased that the majority of the time, the reaction was to take my hand and tell me their name also. Because I do think that that in itself is a part of education that we've been very lax in. I've interviewed people for a teaching position before that never looked me in the eye the whole time. And of course, I never let them leave the room until I told them that was the right thing to do, was to look the person in the eye. So I also got that when I was in the UK. Their schools are very big on manners and procedures, and it's very orderly. And I think when you're taught that beginning at 4 years old, that it sticks with you.
Yeah.
And they teach that. Extend your hand, look in the eye, say hello, give your name. So I would like to see that incorporated somehow. It's not a big thing, but I do think it would make a difference in how we approach education. Because education, it should be fun, but it's serious. It's way serious. When you think about that you're with a child or you're with a student that's going to grow up and make their way in the world, you've got to give them the knowledge to make a contribution. You've got to show them habits that will help them in the world.
Gotcha.
Because, you can say, well, families teach that. Oh, I disagree with that. Some do, but some do not.
Okay.
And so to put a child or to put an 18-year-old that's graduated from high school out into the world without those simple mannerisms, I think is a disservice.
So what can, what is this, the function of the state school board that translates into doing them? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the state school board has so many functions. They do everything from approve curriculum and textbooks to looking at assessment data for each school, each district, looking at enrollment. Right now, the crisis with the State Board of Education is a teacher shortage and teacher retention. It's sad to say that right now we don't have enough teachers in the state of Alabama to go around. And I think I think the pandemic has something to do with it. I think the raise helped. It kept some people on board. But I do think that a teacher is not going to be happy in an unhealthy school environment. And an unhealthy school environment is one where they feel intimidated, they don't feel appreciated, and the students don't care if they learn.
Gotcha.
Who would want to teach in an environment like that? I wouldn't either.
No. All right. Well, so let's so one of the things that I'm trying to do as I talk to you and Marie is kind of, we've got our foundational issues that we've looked at, and obviously yours is very niched into the education side of things. We've talked about the education system, as from the business recruitment standpoint, workforce development to, hey, large business owners, they don't want to build businesses, in communities because they don't want to move employees to places where the schools are bad or, so, uh, so let's kind of, let's jump through some of these pillars and do the best we can with kind of translating things to the business growth and business development, business attraction. I mean, ultimately, all of it is about raising the median household income. In Etowah County, I'm a firm believer that if we can do that, that opens up a lot of doors for a lot of other things and helps us, be able to solve other issues that we have. So let's start out with the proper government structure. You talked about your kind of your concern as you saw as a principal. Do you feel like the school system structure in the district, and obviously we're specific to Etowah County, but all the way up to the state level, is the structure a good structure in terms of how curriculum's developed, how budgets are handled? Is it a good structure? Is it a bad structure? Does it work well? What could be tweaked? What are your thoughts
I
there?
I personally think the structure works. Um, what bothers me sometimes is I think we have too many school systems. I think some of the school systems could be consolidated.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you could have more offerings of courses. You
Okay.
could actually save money. But as I have traveled all over District 6, the schools that I have visited are beautiful facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think sometimes people sit and think that maybe our Alabama students go to mediocre facilities. They don't.
Yeah.
The facilities are fabulous. But what's more
You
important
mean they
than
don't have dirt floors and
no,
outhouses?
no, but a lot of them are new facilities with state of the art equipment. It was so enlightening to me. But what's more important than that is the teacher in that classroom. If she wants to be there, if she's being called to do this job, if she analyzes her students and she knows what works with Sally, but she knows that doesn't work with Stephen, you've got to individualize. And it's very hard. Very, very, very hard to individualize, but that's the way you get the greatest achievement. You also have to analyze your data constantly. So, to tell you that the teaching profession is complicated is an understatement. If it's done right, you do individualize and
Okay.
you have different assignments for different students. And that's how you get the most out of them and get them to reach their potential. Now, let me say this. Uh, I'm a mother of a 41-year-old and a 35 daughter and a 35-year-old son. They were both good students because I demanded it. Uh, my husband always travels, so I was the bad person uh, in the household. But I knew their capability. Now, if I knew that they weren't capable, I wouldn't have pushed them or I would have decided something else. But I made sure that they reached their capabilities. My son's a pharmacist and my daughter's an attorney. But I would have known by ninth grade, I would have known with either one of them if they were not capable of reaching are achieving those kind of careers. And I would have steered them in another way. I would have been just as happy to steer my son into a career tech program as I would the pharmacy program. He just happened to like chemistry, and I'm just thinking chemistry goes with pharmacy, and it fit, and so that's how it got to be.
Okay.
But career tech, to me right now, in Alabama and all over our country, is where it's at. You know, it would be wonderful if we could say to companies coming into Etowah County or coming into District 6, to all those, we have this many employees ready to go for you. They've already been trained in this, or they are now in the process of training. That's how we're going to get industry. It's not by bringing them in here and then them having to train, take a year and not make any money to train these students.
Right.
And we've got to train them to think too. I mean, I've always thought that we probably did not present our students with enough problem solving, because you use problem solving if you go into an academic career, if you go into college, or if you go career tech, or if you're a stay-at-home mom. I mean, you're always problem solving.
Hey, a lot of the trades, guys that I know that work in the trades, are some of the best problem solvers out there.
Tell me.
Some of the least problem-solving capable people I've met are people that sit behind a desk all day.
That's true. And I will have to say, some of the smartest students I've ever taught, they lacked maybe social skills. They lacked physical skills. We all have weaknesses. All of us do.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. And a teacher should find that weakness early on and make opportunities for that student to work on that weakness. Put them out of their comfort zone. That's the only way you're going to grow.
Gotcha.
Is to put somebody out of their comfort zone. And then eventually, if you do it enough, they're comfortable with it.
All right. Well, so let's move on. We'll jump into in the rendering plant discussion, which we didn't. We'll touch on in just a second. But in the rendering plant discussion, one of the things, and you talk about teacher retention, first responder, retention and recruitment is another big issue around here. And it's not just Etowah County, especially on your law enforcement side. Being a military guy, the military's having its issues. What are your thoughts on the education system and how the education system can play a part because hopefully you agree that, and I don't know anybody running for office, at least not in the state of Alabama, that would sit here and say, I hate our first responders. So I'm going to assume that you're a fan of first responders.
I'm a big fan.
So, it's a foundational pillar to a stable community. And whether it's just good law enforcement or whether it's the worst happens and you pick up the phone and you need help. What do you see as a role that education can play in that recruitment? I won't necessarily say in the retention side of things, but particularly in the recruitment of showing the door, showing opportunity, and preparing kids to look at becoming a first responder, whether it's EMS or firefighter or cop. What are your thoughts there?
The best things, what we used to do at Ura Brown, and I think all good schools do this, is you expose even those young children to all kinds of careers. You invite them to come to speak. The best way is if you just invite them into your classroom and let them tell the students what they do, show them pictures. And usually, I always love this, whoever came in to speak, that's what the children wanted to be for that day. They always liked it. But when you make children careers available at a young age, they think about it.
Yep.
It used to be that everybody always did what their parents did. Well, neither one of my parents were teachers. My mom wanted to be, but that opportunity never came for her. But I got it.
Yep.
And so I do think that, and reading books about those careers is
Gotcha.
important too. But there's nothing like that one-on-one, and the child can ask you questions, and you get to describe to them what it was like. And when that happens early on, it grows. It grows into middle school.
Yep.
And they start thinking, okay, what kind of classes do I need to have this? Because I've talked with students that waited until later to find out that they should have had this to get this kind of qualification or certification or whatever. But I will have to say, for some young people, they don't know till later.
Yeah.
But at least they will have a firm, solid background to research it and go back and do whatever they have to do.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. So I will say the other option is you make a movie like Top Gun, and that put a lot of people in the Navy, and we got Top Gun 2 coming out here soon. So little plug for naval aviation, but. Always fun, different ways and fun things to see what drives young people, in one direction or the other. I'm also a proponent of getting out of the mindset that you gotta have it figured out when you're 18, or you gotta have it figured out when you're 22. And you've got to make choices, and that's so, hey, maybe go try and be a firefighter for a few years. And if you don't like it, then move on to something else.
Exactly right. I mean, people make career changes all the time.
Yeah.
So my number one thought is that you should be happy in what you're doing, and you should feel reward. I mean, back when I started teaching, I didn't consider the money. I mean, I really didn't.
Well,
I just considered that during that school day, and when I was planning my lessons and reviewing, I was so happy, and I knew that that's where I was supposed to be.
Well, I would certainly, I guess the career advice to anybody looking at first responders, military, teaching, if you want to be rich, go find another career, because that's just not.
Well, we also know that being rich does not always
Absolutely.
associate with happiness.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
contentment.
Absolutely.
And that's what I would seek first in
Yep.
life.
All right, so let's jump into, and I don't know, master plan concept. One of the issues that we have in our county, in our opinion, is that we don't really have a plan as a community. Sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water here. While I realize that the state school board, you may not, play directly into that, but what are your thoughts on the education piece of the development of a master plan in our community? At really countywide, because we're kind of proponents that each individual municipality, it can't just do your own thing. We've got to work together if we really want. I mean, we're just too small of a community. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've always thought that if you didn't have a plan, you were going nowhere. I mean, I think you have to have a plan. You may have to amend that plan from time to time, but I mean, if you don't have a plan, you're just aimlessly out there. So if you're a school, or if you're a school district, or if you're the State Board of Education, you have to have a plan. Now, if you're not an educator, you probably don't know that every school in the state of Alabama, every year, after you analyze your data from your assessments, you make a continuous improvement plan.
Okay.
It's written every year. It's supposed to be posted online. So, say that your third grade fell in the 70th percentile in math. Then your plan is, how are you going to increase that next year?
Gotcha.
So, yes, every school has a CIP plan, and that is a good thing. But those plans don't always work.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you review your CIP plan, when you get the next year's data and you didn't make it, you do something else. You don't continue to do what you've done and hope to get better results. You just don't.
So you bring up, and I'm assuming you're talking about those statistics come out of standardized testing statewide.
Right, they do.
What are your thoughts? Because it's interesting. I'm as a part of my background is trying to figure out what's the value of the data that you're actually getting in terms of your in the military we might refer to it as a measure of effectiveness, versus a measure of performance. So a number doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, because for example, what if you had a year of a pandemic, and so your scores were down to 60% or 72%. So how, in your experience, the standardized testing process that we are on, how effective is it in measuring and really helping you understand what's going on and to determine what changes you may or may not need to make?
Right. Well, that one time a year assessment data does not steer the ship. Let me assure you, there are many other pieces of data that make the course. Of course, there are your daily grades. There are so much also. You want children to make progress.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. As long as they are continuing to improve and make progress, you're good. But it doesn't need to be minimal progress. You want that progress to be significant, meaning at the end of the year, you want all of your students to be on grade level. Now, that's not going to happen because you have exceptionalities in those classrooms, and those have to be considered. But if you don't have an exceptionality, then all of your children should be on grade level at the end of the year, and most of the time they're above. So you're always checking. Always checking, because John might, I don't know, his parents may be going through a divorce and he's just going to shut down on you, or maybe you hadn't realized it, but Susie's best friend doesn't like her anymore. She's going to shut down on you.
Yeah.
These emotional issues definitely play a part, and physical issues in how well you are doing in school. And I think it's up to a teacher to recognize those. The first thing you would do would be call the parents in. Because if there's anything I know for sure, it is that if you want a child to achieve to their capability, it needs to be a connection between the teacher, the principal, the parents, and the students. And you don't need to leave anybody out. And they need to be in the know all the time.
Gotcha.
And that's hard. That takes a lot of communication.
That
I know that.
that is, and that's well, unfortunately, you've got plenty of households that you'll never get that cooperation from the parents, and you've got a lot of kids that overcome that, despite or get it becomes far more of a struggle than I guess I'd say other families. And
I had a student tell me one time when I brought him in the office and I was going to call his mom, and he said, "She knows your number. She's not going to answer."
nice, nice. All right.
I will have to say, children do say the funniest things.
Yes, yes. Well, okay, so let's move on, and let's talk about building. I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this into more of the education side of things, but a positive business environment in our community. We talked a little bit about preparing students for your trades, career tech training. One of the other things that is I keep kind of saying is we talk about recruiting businesses into our area, and there's so many business owners or people that would be business owners, particularly and I'll throw the city of Gadsden under the bus, but a lot of people that say I wouldn't begin to try and build a business there. It's just a bad climate, a bad culture. And that's, so it's kind of crazy to me to think about recruiting, trying to recruit somebody in when you don't even want to really build a business there. What can our education system do? What are we doing, from an entrepreneurial standpoint of preparing or helping kids, to think about building something on their own, or if that building and creating opportunity for and that's probably more of a discussion at more your high school level into college. I don't know. What are your thoughts on how do we prepare kids that may may be interested in that?
I'll say that I think one way is if high school students work on the weekends or maybe after school, you just don't know where that's going to take them.
Yeah.
You really don't. I have a nephew that worked at just a salvage place after school to have gas money. And now he owns and operates 3 Mike's merchandises in the state. And it all began with working in that salvage place. And he would figure out how much profit he could make.
Gotcha.
Off of junk. And now he makes a living selling junk. So anyway, I would say that those kinds of situations help. I would say that, of course, as I said, speakers that will come into middle schools and high schools and say, I'm going to build a company here, but this is what I need. Mm-hmm. These are the kind of employees that I need. We've got to do something. We definitely do. I don't want to say that the culture in Gadsden is dysfunctional, but in some ways it is. And it should not be. There's no reason that all the municipalities in the city of Gadsden can't get along. We share ball teams. Mm-hmm. We share schools. We love to play against each other. We need to be unified as an entire county so that we can build our 3 school systems into something that not only would attract industry to us, but would also give our students the pride and the confidence that it takes to walk into a business and hand them a resume or say, I'd like to work for you.
Gotcha.
You have to have confidence in where you've come from and what you've learned to be able to do that. And I don't think all of our students have that.
Yeah. Well, so as we talk about some dysfunctionality of the city of Gadsden, I kind of skipped skipped it in the beginning and then got distracted by the audio issues. But let's circle to the rendering plant real quick. And it's obviously it's kind of that's why I'm here. Um, what are your thoughts? Particularly as a resident, here. You live in the city.
Oh,
right?
yes, I do. I live on Farrack Street.
I know you expressed your dislike and support of not supporting the opposition support. But what are your thoughts on what's going on? This last year and a half, 2 years,
Right.
with this render and plant thing.
Well, let me say first, when I first heard about it, all I knew, the first thing on my mind was jobs. Oh, we're going to get a plant that's going to give some unemployed people work.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first thought. And then as the weeks and the months went by and a lot more information was given to us, then I changed my mind. You know, one of the things that attracts people to Etowah County is the scenery that we have. What other places can you go down a major highway and you're looking at beautiful water, you're looking at boats cruising the water? I will have to say that many people have worked hard to make the city of Gadsden look nice. And they've worked hard to give us playgrounds and the Hardin Center and things to do with your grandchildren or with your children. And you just don't want to take the chance with anything to mess that up. And so after everybody did all their research, then I became aware that it would change the quality
Mm-hmm.
of life in our county.
Yeah. Well, it certainly has been an interesting time,
Yes.
and it has caused an interesting dynamic in our community. And one thing I will say, because I didn't really understand as we jumped into it too, the jobs, which is why we're really kind of focused on the business side of things. I was not aware, and I think we did, and I forget the exact numbers. Early on, we looked at within a mile circle. David Chadwick jumped on the phone with a number of the other business owners out within about a mile circle, and there were a few hundred open jobs already in that area. And then if you go countywide, and as comparable pay scale and all that kind of stuff, you're talking 2,000 to 3,000 open jobs in Etowah County that are that are not filled, and and that goes to that discussion of it's not that we need jobs, it's that we need jobs that pay more. When we've got a bunch of jobs that pay 15, 12, $18 an hour, we need better jobs. We need businesses that pay more.
And probably give benefits too.
Yeah, and that's not a knock on the businesses that are here. That's not saying that the businesses that are here should pay more. It's that we need businesses that are in career fields that pay more.
Right.
And I don't know. I'll share this thought and see what your thoughts are. And then we'll wrap it up. But one of the things that I think as we've come out of as a tech guy, as an internet guy, in the Navy, we work remotely all the time. You're on ships, you got to work with other ships, you got to figure out how to work remotely. So that concept is not as uncomfortable to me. But as the what was already occurring with the change in the workforce, particularly in your white collar jobs where people can work from home,
Right.
much more than when they're working with their hands. you talk about the beauty of our area. There's a lot of people, I think, that live in Birmingham or live in Huntsville, that are working high paying jobs that are $150,000-$200,000 a year jobs that they spend most of their time sitting in an office. And the only reason they live there is because they don't want to drive an hour to work. Well, now as we see the opportunity for more and more open working and all that kind of stuff, it seems like we're in a great spot, that we have a beautiful area with affordable homes. Although with some of the home prices, for those of us that live around here, you might be shocked. But we do have affordable homes and a great, beautiful place to live. And what are your thoughts on our community? And I guess this is kind of Etowah County specific, because I don't really know a whole lot about the other communities in the district that you're running for. But in terms of an education system and opening up those doors for that remote working, just a different dynamic in how we build businesses. Or what businesses are attracted here. And it may not be that you're attracting the business, you're attracting the employees of the business. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
As I've traveled the 8 counties in District 6, I never really realized how rural the district is. I mean, you can go for 12, 15 miles and see nothing but pasture, beautiful pasture land, and then come across this incredible school with a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school, all on the same campus. So we do have that rural factor in this district. I mean, farming is big.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And raising livestock is big. But, you have to be educated to do that too. You have to be educated to do anything. But I would hope that people would look at what we have to offer as far as the beauty of our city and our county. The people of this county, they impress me. They impress me because most of them are kind. They would do anything for you, anything. Most of our people are faith-based. I love that. I just think we have incredible people here, and that's got to count for something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I do. I think we have a loving environment. I think our diversity is good. I love that, too. I think we have a lot going for us. We've just got to get a plan set up, and then someone with enough energy and gumption to execute that plan. And be ferocious with it. Breathe it day and night.
Well,
to make it happen.
I like words like ferocious, because
you have to get anything major done, you've got to have somebody leading that charge with a passion for it.
Yep.
That's not going to give up. That's not going to be deterred by the first problem that comes. That's not going to whine about it. Who's going to say, we can do this, and we will do this. You can say that in education. You can say that in an industry. You can say that as the head of your household. You've got to have energy, and you've got to have fortitude to make something happen.
Gotcha.
And I think we're ready for it.
Yeah, I know I am. I've been ready for it for a while now. But okay, well, let's wrap up. Closing thoughts from you on what you want to go do in Montgomery, what you want to do with the state school board, and what you hope to achieve, and just your final thoughts that maybe we haven't covered already, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay. One of the things I've been doing during this campaign is posting pictures of the schools that I've visited. And I've gotten some great feedback from people saying, oh, I went to high school there, or like, I didn't even know that school existed. So I'm. I have a fact that Dr. Catherine Mitchell, who, by the way, is Lou Mitchell, Gadsden's own sister, that she told all the educators in the Gadsden City School System that has stuck with me for years. And that truism is don't expect what you don't inspect. And that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're not inspecting what's going on, but you're expecting everything to be great, you might be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said before, I want to be that person who speaks, if I need to, from the District 6 position on the state school board. And I'm not speaking from what somebody else has told me. I've seen it. I've been there. I spoke to the people about it. I want it to be that way. I would like to make this position, it would be to me my full-time job. I'm happier than ever if I'm in a school, around the school, or talking about something that's going to improve achievement for students. And then also, I think that needs to be made public. You know, I think that everybody in District 6 needs to know about other schools. You know, wouldn't it be great if, we play each other in sports, but I think it would be great to have students of the same grade level, be able to have discussions. What are you studying? What area do you think you're going into? If you're just around a certain group, you don't know what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think our students in Etowah County need to know what else is out there. And if we make District 6 more accessible in some ways to the students, we can do that.
Okay.
So those are some thoughts that I have had. I just want to go to Montgomery and represent these 8 counties in the best possible way. I want to be involved. I want to be that person who goes into the school and asks administration, may I go into a math class and sit down and learn with a student? I think that sends a message to the student. Woo, we've got somebody from Montgomery that represents us besides our principal and our superintendent. Yeah, I think our students need to know that everybody's working for them.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much. Thank you for the patience with the technical issues. And I know y'all are all extremely busy right now, and probably anxiously awaiting the 24th of May. So thank you guys for watching. All of contact information, all that kind of stuff is linked up on advancedetowah.com. So you can go, links are in description. If you're watching this on YouTube, then just follow the link, and it'll be linked up in Facebook as well. But we got your profile, answers to some of the questions that we've put out there. And then this interview obviously will be linked up, and contact info. And I assume you are more than happy to have anyone reach out to you and ask questions.
Most definitely. That's my favorite subject is education, and I have an opinion on just about everything.
Gotcha. Well, guys, again, thank y'all so much. This has been the Education Day here for me, and I've enjoyed the conversation. And it is, man. Education is the key to so much. So guys, don't dismiss it for anything as we roll into these elections. Take them seriously. May 24th, hit the primaries. And thank y'all for your time. Thank you for watching and listening. And thank you for caring about our community. All right, guys, we'll talk to y'all on the next one. See ya.